Absolutely. And because they're shelf stable, I mean, you can bake with them. We've put them in cookies before, for kids or moms. If you don't want to take a capsule, you can mix it into any kind of food, hot or cold. They're easy to take, and they're protective. And that's the whole point to them, is we were looking for bacteria that have this protective effect on our microbiome, that can get in and kind of fix the damage that we're doing on a regular basis. Because of the modern world that we live in, it's inevitable that our microbiome gets damaged. Whether it's the herbicides and pesticides we're exposed to, or the chlorine in your drinking water, the fluoride in drinking water, the antimicrobials or preservatives in the foods, all of these things on a daily basis destroy and perturb our microbiome. We need to send something in on a regular basis to shift the balance back. Okay. And that's what these bacteria seem to be able to do.
That's what I was going to ask you, just like summer's coming up and it's like the swimming pools, like how bad is chlorine swimming pool for our bacteria? Is that just like terrible? Is it manageable?
Yeah. I mean, if there's a choice between a saltwater pool and a chlorine pool, I would always go into saltwater pool. But we can't not go swimming. It's the summertime. We've all been waiting for it. And so going into a chlorine pool will destroy some of the bacteria on the skin. So it becomes really important after you're done swimming to almost immediately rinse off and wash off to some degree, get that chlorine off the skin, and then the microbes will recover. Especially if we give them at least 24 hours or so before you jump back in the pool again. And so just give them time to recover. The worst thing is to do, to go into a chlorine pool and then come out and then use an antimicrobial body soap that even kills more bacteria further, right? So just use, regular soap, which is surfactant, as natural as can be, and just rinse off the chlorine, and then, allow your skin to regenerate the bacteria for the next 24 hours.
Gotcha. Okay. Our saltwater pools, because I've heard, they kind of create natural chlorine. I mean, but they are gentler, you would say, than the chemical chlorine? They
are. Yeah, exactly. Our skin is a lot more used to being exposed to the salts than they are to chlorides. And so it's far more gentler on the skin than chlorine is.
Okay. Now, what about people, now I'm going to kind of just ask some random questions before we wrap up here. What about people who actually get sick? My mom told me about this. She's like, if you ever garden, always wear gloves. I'm like, why would I do that? She's like, I've had 3 friends get, and I don't even remember what it was, but little, I don't know if it was some kind of bacteria or basically got sick in the dirt, so what is that about? I mean, because it's just like the dog thing. So you want to get a dog, but then you hear, oh my gosh, you're going to get parasites. You want to get in the dirt, but then, and there was even, I remember there's a story of a kid who actually died. He was like 6 years old from playing in the dirt. I'm guessing these are people with very suppressed immune systems or with just, I don't know, more challenges or something like that. But I would love your thoughts on that.
Yeah, and we have to keep in mind that those cases are extremely rare, right? And of course, we hear about them because that's what will be talked about on news and articles and blogs. But when you compare the millions and millions of kids on a regular basis that are playing in dirt versus the 1 out of a million that might get sick, it's a rare occurrence, and typically it's a very complicated scenario. And a lot of times they don't even really know whether it's anything in the dirt that caused it. They just say, well, before he got sick, he was playing in the dirt, so maybe that's the cause. Well, it could be 1,000 other things, right? We know that for the most part, if you have somewhat natural, healthy soil, that interaction with the soil is actually really beneficial and really good for you. In fact, there are studies that have come out to show that gardening can dramatically increase serotonin production, which helps with mood and stress. And the reason for that is there's a type of bacteria in the soil called Mycobacterium MVK. When you get exposure to those bacteria, even on your hands and all that, it can actually stimulate more serotonin production. Okay. So using gloves when you're gardening may be good to protect your hands, if you're using some sort of tool or something like that. But it's good to get a little dirt in you. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Or like when we go for hikes and walks through through the woods with my kids, they're always picking up stuff off the ground, rocks and sticks, and throwing it and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And when we sit down to eat a sandwich, we don't put a bunch of hand sanitizer on them. You know, it's okay for them to have that kind of dirt on their hands. Just brush it off on their shirt, and then they can eat their sandwich. You know, so getting that kind of exposure is actually a good thing. Now, a lot of us also don't have very healthy soil because our soil has been exposed to tremendous amount of chemicals and is engineered. So bringing some life back into the soil is really important. I just went through that in our garden. We just set up our garden about 3 weeks ago, and we put rock dust in it. We put leaf mulch. Leaf mulch is much more important than regular wood chip mulch. Leaf mulch is actually composted leaves, and which will have a lot of bacteria in it. So you put rock dust, which has a lot of good minerals and fungus on it, and then you put leaf mulch, and then till the soil really well and let the soil breathe and let it start developing its own environment. When it develops its own ecology, that's when the soil becomes extremely healthy. And when the soil is healthy, it's good to get exposure to it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so composting would be good, right? Because then you could
absolutely, yeah.
And then, so composting, there's a guy up where we live, because we don't have really soil, we have sand. So
right, yeah.
Thin layer of, soil, I guess, but then it's basically sand. And I don't see a lot of organisms, at least for my eye. So I'm like, I wonder if this has bacteria in it, but I'm guessing it does.
It probably has some, but probably not a rich environment for bacteria. So for you guys, having a raised bed garden or defined area for a garden where you can actually put in 6 to 8 inches of actual good soil would make a big difference. And you can buy soil that's fairly clean and not engineered, and then add in your own compost and your own rock dust and things like that to bring life to the soil.
There's just one guy here who gets mushroom compost or something.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. I'm like, oh my gosh, mushrooms are incredible.
Mushroom compost is really, really effective at bringing life back to the soil. We added that too. We added rock dust, mushroom compost, leaf mulch that was composted as well. So we need that to bring it back to the soil.
Oh, really good stuff. What about like if you go to the beach and you're playing in the sand? That doesn't have any good effect on the gut. No.
It can. We know that sand itself does contain microbes.
Yeah.
You've got all kinds of organisms that live in the sand, that birds that land there and bring bacteria and all that stuff. So any kind of environmental exposure is good. Digging in the sand. Yeah, exactly. So it's definitely beneficial. Absolutely.